Now at 5:30, this is WKYT This Morning. Thousands will mourn Muhammad Ali's death today in Louisville. We'll have coverage of the services, and we'll begin our coverage just ahead this morning. 3 robberies in under an hour overnight. More on the police investigation that has followed these robberies early this morning in Lexington. That's coming right up. And President Obama has officially endorsed Hillary Clinton for the presidency. We'll have the most recent campaign updates for you on WKYT This Morning.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning to you. It's your Friday, and we're so glad you're with us on WKYT. I'm Bill Bryant.
I'm Rebecca Smith. Hope your day's off to a fabulous start. Expected to get pretty hot out there.
I'm telling you, especially for the weekend, tomorrow and Sunday. Let's check in. Meteorologist Micah Harris tracking that for us.
Yeah, you're right about that. And you know what? You can already feel it outside because yesterday we were in the upper 40s, lower 50s. It's actually a little bit cool in some spots, but this morning you're not going to feel that. You're talking about 50s and 60s outside as you're walking out the door. It's 64 in Maysville, Mason County, 63 in Moorhead, and for the most part, the rest of us are there in the 50s. Then we get into your afternoon, 88 degrees. There is that very small chance, I just can't rule out, a passing shower or thunderstorm, especially north of I-64. That's your better bet. And most of us stay dry today. So we'll talk about this heat. It's the main focus in the forecast. And we're talking about temperatures warmer than that. We're talking 90s. I'll show you that in just a few minutes.
All right, and let's get to the news this morning. Today, Muhammad Ali will be buried in Louisville.
The day will begin with a funeral procession that will travel 19 miles through the city, passing locations that were important in Ali's life. WKYT's Mike Byer is live for us in Louisville with more on the plans for the funeral service. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rebecca. Today, many people of all different backgrounds will come together to say their final goodbye to Muhammad Ali. Now, many of them will gather here at the Muhammad Ali Center, once again just paying their final tribute to the 3-time heavyweight champion. It's also one of many spots that a procession will pass with the body of the cultural icon. Now, the procession is expected to begin at 9 this morning. It'll make its way through the streets of his hometown of Louisville, passing places like the Muhammad Ali Center and his boyhood home on Grand Avenue. The procession will come to an end at Cave Hill Cemetery, where Ali will be laid to rest. A public memorial service will follow at 2 this afternoon at the KFC Yum Center. Tickets for the memorial were given out for free and quickly ran out Wednesday. Ali's longtime friend and former President Bill Clinton will eulogize the champ. Other notables taking part in the eulogy are Billy Crystal and Bryant Gumbel. Now, if you can't make it to Louisville, we have you covered. Beginning at 2 this afternoon, we will have a live stream on WKYT, on WKYT.com, and through our mobile news app of the entire service. Live in Louisville, Mike Byer, WKYT.
Mike, thank you very much. A big day in Louisville. The Reverend Jesse Jackson and legendary boxing promoter Don King were among the thousands who gathered at a prayer service in Louisville to pay their respects to the greatest yesterday.
He was a great guy. He was my friend for life. He was a champion of the people, a fighter for the people, and he will never die. His spirit will live on forever. It's just a moment of being blessed to be a part of his life.
The Islamic funeral prayer service for Muhammad Ali was held yesterday at Freedom Hall. The service is a Muslim tradition that asks for forgiveness and entry into heaven, but people of all faiths attended.
Well, some people are calling for a Confederate statue in the state capitol to be replaced with something honoring Muhammad Ali. The current statue is of Confederate President Jefferson Davis. Lexington attorney and former state treasurer Jonathan Miller has started a petition calling for the replacement. The debate to remove the Jefferson Davis statue has been going on for years. Miller says now's the perfect time.
Now that there's a consensus to remove Davis, let's replace him with the grandson of slaves who did more for civil rights and who is known as the most famous international person from Kentucky in the 20th century, if not the most famous human in the 20th century, Muhammad Ali.
Last year, the Historic Properties Advisory Committee voted to keep the Davis statue. The board's director says current rules state that a person has to be dead at least 10 years before receiving a statue at the Capitol. Ali's Islamic faith will not allow a statue of him, so his likeness in the state capitol would likely be a mural or a portrait.
The time this morning is coming up on 5:35. In other news now, police right now investigating after there have been 3 gas station robberies in Lexington overnight. Michelle Chamberlain is at our alert desk with details on the suspect and this spree. Michelle?
The police can't say it was the same person in the robberies, but the suspect fits the same description in all three robberies. Now, these robberies all took place within an hour of one another, between 12 o'clock and 12:45, and they were in the close proximity of one another. Take a look at this map. The first robbery happened at the Shell on Nicholasville Road, then a marathon on Clays Mill Road, followed by a robbery at the Speedway on Boston Road. In all three robberies, the suspect is a man wearing all black, a black hoodie, bandana, and dark pants. He entered each store with a gun, demanded and got money, ran out and drove off in a dark SUV. So with all this information, the robberies are believed to be connected, but like I said before, police cannot positively say that's the case. Bill?
Thank you, Michelle. We'll continue to follow up. The campaign for the White House is heating up as Hillary Clinton picks up several key endorsements and the Democrats turn their sights to Donald Trump. Hannah Daniels has the latest on the campaign.
Leading Democrats are endorsing Hillary Clinton's run for the White House, including President Obama, who threw his support behind his former Secretary of State.
Look, I know how hard this job can be. That's why I know Hillary will be so good at it. In fact, I don't think there's ever been someone so qualified to hold this office.
Donald Trump wasted no time going after his likely opponent, tweeting, "Obama just endorsed crooked Hillary. He wants 4 more years of Obama, but nobody else does." The Clinton campaign tweeted back, telling Trump to delete his account, but the attacks did not end on social media. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren laid into the presumptive GOP nominee during a speech to the American Constitution Society.
Donald Trump is a loud, nasty, thin-skinned fraud who has never risked anything for anyone and who serves no one but himself.
Vice President Joe Biden also delivered a blistering condemnation of Trump's repeated public criticism of a federal judge.
Undercutting the legitimacy of a judge by suggesting that because of his heritage, he's incapable of being fair. In addition to this, it is racist.
President Obama's first campaign appearance with Clinton will be in Green Bay, Wisconsin next week. Hannah Daniels, CBS News.
And Donald Trump will kick off a heavy week of campaigning today with a speech in Washington, D.C., and then a rally in Richmond, Virginia. A University of Louisville surgeon says that staffing cuts at U of L Hospital have made it unsafe. Dr. J. David Richardson says the hospital has never been worse in his 34 years there. He says the cuts came after a private company took over the hospital's management. His solution to the problems is to cut ties with the company. That is Kentucky One Health. That company responded saying that the U of L hospital is a, quote, excellent hospital with a dedicated and talented team of professionals that is staffed to meet the patient's needs. Kentucky One Health says they want to continue their partnership. In its own statement, the university suggested it agrees with Richardson's observations.
Well, 2 people have been rushed to the hospital after a motorcycle crash in Bourbon County. This one happened around 8 o'clock last night on Millersburg-Ruddles Mill Road. Investigators still trying to figure out why the motorcycle crashed. They say 2 people on the bike were injured. One of them had to be airlifted to UK Hospital. Their conditions not known this morning. Lexington police are looking for a thief who caused thousands of dollars of damage to a medical office building. This happened Tuesday along Shaker Drive off Harrodsburg Road. Police say the thief climbed up to the roof of the building and stole some copper. Police say the thief caused $2,500 in damage. They also say the person stole about 100 feet of copper flashing from the building.
The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet wants drivers to be aware of some lane changes coming to a busy Lexington intersection. Construction continues on the summit at Fritz Farm, the development near the intersection of Manowar and Nicholasville Road. From now until late October, there is only one left turn lane from Nicholasville Road to Manowar, and that's in both directions. As part of the new development, transportation leaders say there will be 2 left turn lanes in both directions. So eventually it will be better. Some pain in the meantime for drivers out there. A Kentucky filmmaker has filed a federal lawsuit against Beyonce. Matthew Fulks of Louisville claims the singer stole ideas from his short film in order to make the trailer for her new visual album, Lemonade. In that lawsuit, Fulks claims that a senior vice president at Columbia Recording Corporation had been sent a link to his film months before Lemonade debuted. The lawsuit also names Columbia Sony Music and Beyonce's management company. Representatives for Beyonce and the companies have not commented. 5:40 is our time this morning, 20 before 6 on WKYT this morning.
Let's see what's happening.
Yeah, check live drive traffic for you. Here's the region, and it looks good with no issues or reports of any trouble at the moment.
You know, it's looking A-OK out there on this Friday morning. The Lexington-Fayette Urban County Government's live drive cam has a view there of New Circle and Meadow Lane. Things looking pretty quiet.
It certainly does, and good to go this morning, so let's hope it's a good one out there. Get it done on this Friday and get to that weekend.
We're trying. We're trying.
Much more coming up for you on WKYT in just a moment.
When we come back, we are looking at a very special story between a Houston couple and their aging dog. It's coming up after Micah's forecast.
And we're talking about the heat, obviously, today and off into the weekend. But what about any thunderstorms? Are we going to be seeing those make their way into the region? I'll have that coming up next.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
We're at 60 degrees right now in Lexington, 50s in many locations. Pretty nice feel this morning. It's about 5 to about 10 degrees higher than where we were yesterday morning. But I do want you to focus in on one thing. I know you've been hearing about the heat the past few days. We've been really honing in on the heat. But I also want you to know there is a small possibility that we could see a couple of rumbles of thunder out of this system working its way south and southeast. I do want to tell you this. The main energy is well back toward the north of even this. So the farther this gets southbound, the farther away it gets from that main source of energy. Therefore, it will fade away. Still can't rule out a couple of rumbles of thunder in northern Kentucky today. That's the best likelihood, best chance area, really, to actually see this. So let's go through it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here comes that system. Watch as it gets into northern Kentucky. It's getting away from that energy source, so it's fading away. But we still can't rule out a couple of rumbles, maybe even a shower north of Lexington today. That's your best bet. Lexington, there is a possibility, I'd say about a 10% chance that it actually makes its way far enough south. But for the most part, it's north of 64. That's your better likelihood. Afternoon looks pretty good there in the mid-80s. Evening, we head off into the evening, and I don't see any problems whatsoever as everybody's gearing up for these festivals, these events going on tomorrow. As tomorrow morning, you're waking up there in the 60s and 70s. It's going to be very warm, very muggy for at least the morning hours. You got the Bear Cheese Festival going on in Winchester and Clark County tomorrow. I will be there. I'd love to see you guys out there. It should be a fun event. But here's what we're looking at is those widespread 90s are a possibility across the region. And not only that, but heat index values. They'll climb big time because that moisture will be on the way. So we're talking about some pretty warm conditions. I will tell you this. If you're heading out to the Russell County Fair, Taylor County Fairs, they're starting to kind of wind down throughout the next few days off into your weekend. Just know this. You guys will be dry. It's 91 degrees, though, on Saturday. It's going to be very, very humid, very warm there on Saturday. On Sunday, there is a small chance of rain, especially for that southern half. That's your better opportunity. But for the most part, we're going to stay mainly dry for the weekend. I don't see much of an issue. But that Saturday morning, if you're heading out to the Bourbon Derby, that's going to be in Paris Saturday morning with that half marathon and other events, too. It will be sticky, and you will need a lot of water in you if you're running a half marathon. And 70-degree temperature during the morning hours, and also that humidity way up. So, guys, there's a lot of events going on, but just know it's going to be very warm. Sunscreen water is a must this weekend.
How about burning calories?
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Right, literally.
Do
the best you can, and as we said, at least it is not winter when it was so cold. You know, we had to deal with that. So we'll enjoy this warmth while it's here.
I'll take the heat.
Yeah, all right. 5:47 on WKYT this morning. A Houston couple is using their newfound fame to be ambassadors for old dogs all around the world.
It all started with Max. He's a 16-year-old blind Sheltie, and yes, his owners take him to the park. You see it right there in a stroller. How cute is that? They say Max is their best friend. A photo of them taking Max to the park went viral. People from all around the world related to this particular story. Other people share pictures of their older dogs as well. A simple message about caring for your pets can mean so much to so many. And I would say that, you know, a man's best friend, no matter how old, right?
Right, exactly. And
best friend.
And it says a lot about the owners when they take care of, you know, senior pets.
It's great.
Right? Yeah. Good to have you along on WKYT on your Friday morning.
And coming up, you'll get the stories making news at this hour.
Check traffic again, see how things are moving along. We have some health news, and our top stories are on the way, and it is so good to have you with us here on WKYT. Good morning. Welcome back in. WKYT this morning, live from Lexington at 5:51.
Let's take a look right now at some of the stories we're working on at this hour.
Our news team is busy this morning. A procession honoring Muhammad Ali will be traveling 19 miles through Louisville today. It will pass through locations that were important in Ali's life. It will end at Cave Hill Cemetery, where Ali will be buried. And then a public memorial service for Ali begins at 2 o'clock this afternoon at the KFC Yum Center. You'll be able to watch the memorial service live here on WKYT. Our special report at 2 o'clock right here.
Authorities in Ohio have identified a man who they say shot 2 people, including a sheriff's deputy last night near Cincinnati. They say they're searching for 19-year-old Muhammad Abdullah. The deputy was taken to a hospital and was conscious and alert. The other person shot was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
And this morning, police are investigating after 3 armed robberies overnight. They all happened in less than an hour. The first robbery happened at the Shell on Nicholasville Road. Then a Marathon on Clays Mill Road was hit, and that was followed by a robbery at the Speedway on Boston Road. Police cannot positively say it was the same person involved in the robberies, but in all 3 cases, he has pretty much the same description.
Well, Democratic leaders rallied behind Hillary Clinton after President Barack Obama formally endorsed the party's presumptive nominee. On Thursday, Vice President Joe Biden and Senator Elizabeth Warren railed against Clinton's likely Republican opponent Donald Trump, calling him out on his inflammatory rhetoric. The comments came after the president met with Clinton's primary rival, Bernie Sanders.
Travel restrictions are now in place in Israel following Wednesday's deadly terror attack in Tel Aviv. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the crowded market yesterday where 2 Palestinian cousins allegedly killed 4 Israelis. Authorities have now banned thousands of Palestinians from traveling into the country during the holy month of Ramadan. You'll need more Hamiltons to see Hamilton. Elvis shows up to be honored in New York, and Hollywood honors the maestro of the movies. Daniel Nottingham has your eye on entertainment.
Steven Spielberg joined Hollywood heavyweights on the red carpet last night to honor the man who put so many blockbusters to music. Composer John Williams was given the American Film Institute's Life Achievement Award, America's highest honor for a career in film. Williams did the musical score for such classics as Star Wars, Jaws, and E.T.
As a musician, as an artist, he's in the same level of Mozart, of Beethoven, of all of these great geniuses of all times.
Williams has 5 Academy Awards, and his 50 nominations are an Oscar record. At last night's Songwriters Hall of Fame induction gala in New York, Elvis Costello, Tom Petty, and Nile Rodgers were among those honored.
We were not just throwing tunes out there. We were throwing songs and they were lasting. We didn't know they were going to last, but I'm so proud to just be a part of this group.
Other inductees included Wild Thing writer Chip Taylor and the late Marvin Gaye. And if you haven't seen the smash Broadway musical Hamilton, you'll need to save up. Producers of the show have pushed the top premium seats to a record $849 and the cheapest reserve seat to $179. And that's your eye on entertainment. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Now for today's top health stories, the air you breathe could put you at risk for stroke.
A new study in the Lancet Neurology Journal says almost a third of strokes worldwide are linked to air pollution. It's the first time that air quality has been linked to debilitating strokes. Other risk factors include high blood pressure, smoking, and poor diets. One way to reduce your risk for strokes in later years is to become more fit in midlife. New research from the American Heart Association says adults aged 45 to 50 in particular who had a high level of cardiorespiratory fitness reduced their risk of stroke after age 65 by more than a third.
Pretty good news there. And new information about how the AIDS virus spreads inside the body could lead to more effective treatment. University of Utah researchers say an enzyme currently used to keep the virus from infecting new cells could one day be used to destroy the virus itself. They say newer treatments with fewer side effects could be available in about 10 years. Always good to see progress made on that front.
Right, absolutely. Our time this morning, 5:55.
Let's get a check on today's traffic trouble spots.
See what's going on out there right now, and here are your current travel times if you're heading into Lexington from some of the surrounding cities. And it's an easy ride in from Nicholasville, Versailles, everybody looking good. Frankfurt also less than half an hour, as well as Mount Sterling. So it should be a good travel in today. I-75, I-64 all running clear.
Here's a look at the Lexington Fayette Urban County Government's live drive cam at New Circle Meadow Lane. Looking good out there, no issues for you. Hopefully maybe you have the day off and you can enjoy a long weekend. Be nice.
And we're getting close to the longest day of the year, so it's interesting how early daylight comes and how long it stays.
Well, I was surprised when it was 9 o'clock last night, Mike, and it was still light outside.
I know, it's so hard for especially us, but people who have to go to bed early and wake up early, just like you guys. Yeah, it's hard to go to bed when you have the light outside. It's really tough, but you know what? Here comes the light once again. Live sky camera, there is your shot outside. It looks really good today for the most part, but it's going to be much warmer. You'll step outside and you'll feel that difference. It's 55 now in Danville, 60 degrees in Lexington, and we drive toward the afternoon. 88 degrees, most stay dry, but we cannot rule out an isolated shower or thunderstorm, especially in the northern zones. I'm going to go over that. I'm going to show you your weekend forecast and much more news, weather, and sports coming up with another hour of WKYT News.